Hi everyone, Petrik here. For today's video, this will be physical books or physical series that I bought because of the cover art. So obviously, not only the cover art influenced me to actually buy all of these books that I'm going to mention soon, there's a possibility that I've heard some great things about these books, whether it's on reviews, or maybe it's on article, or maybe it's on lists. But either way, there is a possibility that I have heard some great things about these books first. But eventually, the cover art were the final push that influenced me the most to finally cave in and bought these books. Now, if you have been following my channel to this day, I think you know how obsessive I can be about cover art and cover design. This is because I personally think that when I buy physical books, I eventually would display them on my bookshelves, right? And well, I just want them to be gorgeous. I want them to be beautiful. I want them to be good to look at. I think that's kind of given. I don't want something that looks like this or something that looks like this to actually appear on my bookshelves. They might end up giving me nightmare. I don't want them near my presence. And I'm speaking specifically on the matter of buying physical books. When it comes to buying ebooks or maybe reading e-arc, I don't really mind cover art that's not good because, well, I won't be able to display them on my bookshelves. But I won't lie, a stunning cover art matters a lot to me, especially these days when I have so many books in my TBR pile. If a cover art of a book that I don't know doesn't look good, it's quite unlikely that I will check the book further. It's unfortunate, but that's the case. Unless, of course, I've heard so many amazing things about it from many people. That's a different situation. But when it's an author or a series that's completely unknown to me, then yeah, cover art matters a lot. Sometimes there are actually circumstances where I actually buy physical books without doing any more research because of the cover art. They look so good and I want them on my bookshelves. So in today's video, I will show you 10 books or 10 series that I bought without reading the books first. And the first one that I want to show you here is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. So this is the first book in the Farsi trilogy, and this is also the first book in the entire 16-book series of The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. Back then, before I got this book, I remember that I did some research on The Realm of the Elderlings, and I already thought, wow, this series, the UK paperback, which is this one, the entire 16-book series looks so pretty. But I was still hesitant about it, even though I've heard a lot of great things about Robin Hobb back then. Robin Hobb has been regarded as one of the queen of high fantasy, and I completely agree with that now. But back then, I still knew nothing about her books. And also, 16 books are expensive to buy. 16 books, even though they're paperback, they are still expensive. Until my co-blogger Haifa gave me this book. Yeah, so I didn't buy this book. But because of this book, because I received this copy of Assassin's Apprentice, and I look how pretty this is in real life, I took the biggest gamble of my life in buying physical books. I bought the entire series immediately. Yeah, I bought the entire 16 books. I bought the remaining books in the series. Back then, Assassin's Fate hasn't been released in paperback, so I bought the remaining 14 books, starting from Royal Assassin up to Fool's Quest. That honestly was insane, but come on. This is one of the most beautiful set of books that I've come across to this day. This is something that's worthy to display on your bookshelves. And it's not just the cover art. The spine also looks so beautiful. I think J.K. Morris, the cover artist behind the UK paperback edition of The Realm of the Elderlings, did a fantastic job on it. And well, the result of my gambling pays off, because this is the entire 16-book series. Is one of my top favorite series of all time now. But I don't think I will ever do something as risky as this again, because I remember back then, I think I spent about more or less $200 on buying the entire series. That is so pricey. Yeah, that is so pricey. The second book that I want to show you is The Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan, or to be precise, the entire Legends of the First Empire series. So this one, yeah. This is the entire series is done by Marc Simonetti. The cover art is done by Marc Simonetti. As some of you probably know already, Marc Simonetti is one of my favorite artists of all time. And he did a lot of amazing epic fantasy cover art. And in my opinion, he should be hired to do more. Because apparently, somehow, Marc Simonetti doesn't do a lot of cover art for US or UK publisher. He did a lot of cover art for foreign editions, such as French edition, but in my opinion, simply not enough for US or UK edition. I mean, take a look at this. This is so beautiful. He's so good at drawing landscape epic fantasy artwork, and I love this one, and I love the entire cover art of the Legends of the First Empire series. And then the next book on this list is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. So this cover art is done by JungShan Inc. I remember that Back then when I first saw this cover art being revealed, I knew immediately that I have to own this book. I also have to read this book. This cover art just screamed Asian-inspired epic fantasy, and I was proven right, and in my opinion, this is one of the best fantasy debuts. I think JungShan Inc. did an amazing job on the cover art of this trilogy. The entire trilogy looks so beautiful, and I own them already in paperbacks, which is one of my biggest regrets. I should have got this trilogy in hardcover. Somehow, I decided to pre-order the paperback version because I was so broke back then. But yeah, even though I was one of the first reviewer for the Poppy War, I remember that I pre-ordered the paperback edition already before I even read the advanced reading copy edition that I got for this book. So beautiful. I love this cover art, and the back cover looked like this. And then the next book on this list is one of my top favorite series of all time. It is The Way of Kings by Sanderson. Yeah, I remember that I bought The Way of Kings and also Words of Radiance back then because Oathbringer wasn't released yet. This cover art is done by Whelan, which is a legendary artist in epic fantasy, and well, this cover art, when I first saw it, it just screamed epic fantasy, one of the best epic fantasy, and I've been proven right. This is one of the best fantasy books of all time. The entire Stormlight archive is a masterpiece in epic fantasy. I really made the right decision in purchasing this. In 2016, I remember that I finished Mistborn Trilogy, and my first thought was, there is no way I could read something better than Mistborn Trilogy. But a lot of people mentioned that the Stormlight archive is even better. It is one of the best series in epic fantasy right now. And still, I was persistent. I remember I was persistent because Mistborn Trilogy changed my life. But I saw the cover art and you know what? This is so beautiful. I might as well just get it. And well, this book and Words of Radiance are already better than the entire Mistborn Trilogy. The Stormlight archive is the best series written by Sanderson, and it is my top favorite ongoing series right now. And I'm really glad that I bought this series. And speaking of Whelan, the next book that I'm going to show you is something that I haven't read at all. So this is The Empire of Grass. Yeah, The Empire of Grass by Ted Williams. This is the second book in the Last King of Osten art series. I mean, take a look at this. This is just so beautiful, right? Look, this is stunning. I mean, Whelan did such an amazing job on this cover art. And I won't lie, this cover art is one of the reason, probably the biggest reason why I'm making this video right now. Because if you follow me on Twitter, you will find out that Doe Books has decided to change cover artists. I didn't actually rant about this, but I must say that I'm disappointed in this decision because Whelan and Ted Williams kind of go together. Memory, Sorrow and Thorn, Otherland, and the first book in the Shadow March, all of them have been illustrated by Whelan. And now the third book, Into the Narrow Dark, will look like this. I mean, the cover art itself is okay. I mean, this kind of look like the boss in the Shadow of the Colossus game. But overall, I'm just not a fan of mid-series cover change. I mean, they could work, but overall, I'm just not a fan of cover change in the middle of a series, especially a long-running series like this. The Last King of Osten art is a continuation to Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. And since the first book, The Dragonbone Chair, all of them have used Whelan as the cover artist, and now the remaining two books in the series won't match the previous cover art anymore. It's just so unfortunate. I don't think I will be buying the physical book to this one. I will still read Into the Narrow Dark and The Navigator's Children, but just in ebook format. I even bought this book. And The Witchwood Crown, which is the previous book before this one, in hardcover before I even started The Dragonbone Chair. That's how much I love the cover art to this one, Empire of Grass. It's so beautiful, and it is one of the most beautiful cover art that I've ever seen. Whelan, you are a legend. We only have 5 more books or series left on this list, and the next one that I want to show you, this is The Emperor's Blade by Staveley. So this is done by Richard Anderson, and honestly, the first time that I bought this trilogy, I bought the UK edition. The UK edition doesn't look bad. They actually look pretty, but they're quite generic. It was kinda odd because the reason I'm interested in this trilogy in the first place, it was because of this cover art and the entire trilogy. But I ended up buying the UK paperback edition because, again, I was broke, because I just did a massive book haul, I remember it, and then I saw that this edition is so much more cheaper than this edition, like twice the price. So yeah, I just bought this edition. But after I got the hardcover of Skullsworn and I look how beautiful it is in real life, well, I decided to unhaul this edition and buy this edition instead. So yeah, I bought this edition twice. I bought this edition twice and I don't regret it. Richard Anderson is one of my favorite artists. And speaking of Richard Anderson, the next one is Kings of the Wyld by Nicholas Eames. This is one of the greatest purchases that I've ever made. So I heard plenty of great things about Kings of the Wyld before I started reading it, but I wasn't so sure about it. But then again, the cover art, I think in my opinion, it looks so beautiful. This and Bloody Rose, both of them look stunning. And I am truly grateful that I made the purchase, because this is one of my favorite debut of all time. The Banned Trilogy, even though there's only 2 books out right now, is one of my favorite series of all time. I love this series so much and I look forward to doing a second read of it one day. This is published by Orbit Books, and honestly the remaining books on this list, all of them are published by Orbit Books as well. I'm not really sure what happened, but from my analysis from 2017, Orbit just suddenly poured out so many amazing cover art and design for their books, and frequently, I'm not disappointed by the content that I read from them. And this is just one of many examples. The next one that I'm going to show you is another example, and it's The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. Look how beautiful this is. Look at the details on this one. And I cannot believe that I still haven't received my copy of The Bone Shard Emperor. I think Sasha Vinogradova did an excellent job on doing the cover art for this one. And again, this is designed by Lauren Panepinto. I really admire Lauren Panepinto. She's responsible for a lot of the gorgeous cover art that we see from Orbit Books lately, or for the past couple of years to be more precise. But yeah, I love this cover art so much, and also this is my favorite debut for the year 2020. As for Kings of the Wyld, it was my favorite debut for the year 2017. And then the next book or series on this list is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is the first book in the Licanius trilogy. And again, this is designed by Lauren Panepinto. As I said, she's amazing, right? But the cover art is done by Dominick Saponaro. I truly love the cover art. And not only the cover art, I really love this trilogy. I remember that I saw the cover art to The Light of All That Falls being released, and after I saw the cover art to that one, that's it. I'm buying the physical book to The Shadow of What Was Lost and also An Echo of Things to Come. And then the publisher sent me a copy of The Light of All That Falls in hardcover, and now I own the trilogy. And this is, as some of you probably know already, one of my top favorite trilogies of all time. And the amazing cover art done by Dominick Saponaro for the Licanius trilogy really did justice to the content inside these books. And finally, the last book or series on this list, it is The Faithful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. Yeah, this is the 4th and final book in The Faithful and the Fallen. This is Brad. So I didn't actually started reading The Faithful and the Fallen until Brad was released. Yeah, when I saw that Brad was released, I saw that the cover art featured a warhammer, and then there are warriors riding giant bears inside this. I mean, come on, that's something that's so rare. I don't think I've seen many cover art that featured warrior riding giant bear to war. And plus, I've heard a lot of amazing things about The Faithful and the Fallen, so yeah, I bought the entire series without reading them first. After all of them arrived to my place, I binge read this series like there is no tomorrow, and you all know how much I love The Faithful and the Fallen. This is one of my top favorite series of all time. So yeah, it was an extremely satisfying purchasing decision. And the cover art to the entire The Banished Land saga that includes The Faithful and the Fallen and also of Blood and Bone trilogy, all of them are done by Paul Young. I think Paul Young did an amazing job on this series. So yeah, that's the 10 physical books or series that I bought because of their cover art, and obviously there are still so many more physical books or series that I bought because of their cover art. So many more. As I said in the beginning of this video, cover art matters a lot in influencing my decision to buy physical books now. And although it goes without saying that gorgeous cover art doesn't mean that the content will actually click with us, there have been circumstances where it didn't click with me. For example, The Traitor's Sun cycle by Miles Cameron. But overall, statistically, I think gorgeous cover art often leads to books that I actually love. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's not, but come on, magnificent books with incredibly stunning cover art, it doesn't get much better than that. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Let me know if you want me to make this kind of video again in the future, because I still have many gorgeous physical books or series that I bought because of their cover art and I want to show them. Let me know your thoughts on my choices here, and also let me know which books you bought because of their cover art. As always, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your support, and happy Valentine's Day. Bye bye.